You're listening to CX Passport, the show about creating great customer experiences with a dash of travel talk. Each episode, we'll talk with our guest about great CX, travel, and just like the best journeys, explore new directions we never anticipated. I'm your host, Rick Denton. I believe the best meals are served outside and require a passport. Let's get going. I think of today's guest as one of the hardest working people in CX. I've personally benefited by participating in a flurry of webinars and other sources of education that our guest tirelessly creates, all to advance the mission of helping people and companies become more customer-centric. Today, I'm joined by Jonathan Daniels, the founder of CX Centric, who focuses his time on training and coaching organizations and leaders on the practical ways to achieve customer centricity. Note a theme here? The customer is at the center of all Jonathan does. Additionally, I love Jonathan's global approach, especially in his webinars, as he is purposeful in bringing a truly global representation to the audience and the facilitators. We'll keep that global theme going as we hear about his travels to Rwanda and beyond. Jonathan, welcome to CX Passport.
Rick, thank you for having me, and thanks for the nice introduction also.
Trust me, I have definitely benefited from those webinars and love them very much. So, Jonathan, when you think of customer centricity, you often speak of getting beyond the theory and into operationalizing it. How do you go about that?
Yeah, so what I have learned over my time is that there are a lot of consultants, a lot of enterprises that talk about customer experience strategy, creating a strategy. And the gap that I see is, okay, strategy is well and good, a nice picture is well and good, but how do you actually achieve this in reality? What steps do I take today? I have my customer experience team. I have some data and insights. What do I do? So that's the sort of aspect that I like to focus on. So for this, there's a few parts. The first part is customer experience improvement and innovation. Mm-hmm. So being able to review what is the current situation of the experience that you offer, what are the pains, what are the opportunities, and how do you convert this into basically your development pipeline, your experience pipeline. So basically, how can you improve the experience? And you've got to be able to do that quickly and at scale. You don't want to have problems from the customer today that you're going to take 6 months to fix. If they're important problems, you need to have those in a roadmap, and it should be like, okay, in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we're fixing this. So this will help you prioritize what you're doing. The other aspect is a customer success organization. Mm-hmm. Actually, things are more complicated today than they were 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago. There's a lot more data, a lot of interconnected products and services. And basically things are just, it's just a lot more complicated. Customers have to near enough have a degree to sometimes understand what products and services some companies are offering. So with the customer success, it's like, okay, your customer's there. How do you make sure that they understand the value that you can bring? And how do you make sure that they actually achieve that value? So that is something crucial that you've got to have in place. And the third is customer-centric practices. So how do you get your whole organization to start rallying up around the customer, start thinking more about the customer in what they're doing, and start understanding the real impact that they are making to people's lives through your organization?
What I like about what I'm hearing from you is that taking it from the ethereal, taking it from the I'll even use the esoteric of customer experience, but rather here are the practical things that a company needs to go through and practical categories that a company needs to understand and apply to be able to deliver that overarching great customer experience strategy. You know, and again, here I hear your customer centricity. If I were counting, and I wish I had counted how many times you mentioned customer in what you were saying there, it shows me how it is absolutely at the heart of who you are. But I know that you also coach leaders and organizations to be customer-centric. What are some of the habits you recommend to them to become a successful CX leader?
Yeah, definitely. So at CX Centric, we have developed 8 key principles behind customer centricity. And some of these are used when coaching leaders. So for instance, customer familiarity breeds alignment, and also the concepts of continuous learning. So when I talk about continuous learning, I'm talking about both learning about business operations and also about customer challenges. So, for instance, do you know the challenges that your marketing department are currently having, or the customer services department, or the finance department? Actually, we have to be able to learn about our business in order to be able to serve our customers better. And then, obviously, on the other side, um, do you know about your customers? How much do you know about them? Do you share that knowledge across your organization?
Mm-hmm.
As a leader, you should be using your product or service. You should be talking to customers, listening to the support desk, listening in on calls, etc., or the chats online, whatever it is, reviewing data, and basically just sharing that knowledge to help bridge the silos. That's the first thing. I
Yeah.
think the other aspect is employees do what is measured, incented, and celebrated. So, as a CX leader, we really encourage regular assessments of the customer centric practices that your organization has, and also the customer operations. So, at CX Centric, we have assessment tools that you can use both to measure things at an organization level and also at an individual level, for instance, for a customer experience leader as well. So, actually, measuring and measuring often is very important. The other thing is co-creation. So never do anything alone. So you creating a customer experience strategy, don't sit in a room for a few days, flash it out, and then see what people think. Involve different people across the organization into what you're doing. So that's something very
Yeah.
important. And that's through all the aspects, through when you're scoping your customer experience initiatives, or you're analyzing, or you're planning what you're doing, or you're implementing. You've got to involve different people throughout the organization along the journey. The other thing is planning for current needs, so your customers' current needs, and also for future needs. So in essence, you've got to have a roadmap. You should be saying, these are the top 10 things that I need to do to improve the experience. If we hit these, this will be the outcome for the business and for the customers. And then on top of this, it's like, this is what we're going to be delivering over the next 6 to 12 months. And you make senior leaders responsible for delivering them, for delivering that, because as a customer experience professional, the changes that need to take place to improve the experience probably won't fit within your remit. There'll be things that need to be done across the organization.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to make the senior leaders from those other departments responsible for delivering, and hold them accountable to the dates as well. And the final thing I'd suggest is to take it seriously. A lot of customer experience professionals and customer success professionals as well, they're slightly waiting for a seat at the table. They're basically asking and waiting for others to validate what they're doing. Oh, what do you think about customer success and customer experience? Do you think it's adding value? Do you see the ROI? For me, I encourage people not to ask, do you see the value? Da, da, da. Instead, you take it seriously, and you go out to prove it over again, over and over again, with the results that you're getting. You present the results, and then you present the next steps, and you keep going in that motion.
Yeah. What I like about what I'm hearing you say there is, and I'm thinking about the beginning of what you said and at the end of what you said. So almost on a spectrum of humanity to, let's call it financial results. Right, and so you started with that customer familiarity breeds alignment. Get involved with listening to calls and actually doing. If you have a product that is usable, then go out and experience that product, shop for that product, use that product, or if let's take travel, fly on that airplane, stay in that hotel, those sorts of things. And then in the end is also, then that's the humanity side. Then the end that you bookended with was the numbers, and that is prove out what it is. And I have found that combining those two worlds creates great success for the CX professional to be able to advance initiatives, but then for the company as a whole to embrace those customer initiatives and really take it both into their heart, right? That's the customer story you're describing at the beginning, and then in their mind, which are the dollars that are why many businesses are in business, and that is to make a profit. So I like that approach there. And we will, for those that are listening here, check out the show notes, and you'll be able to see some of these principles and be able to understand them a little deeper. Jonathan, you're teaching me now. You've taught me before. I've learned through many of the things, and I talked about these webinars where I've learned. Let's go back to those CX Centric conversation webinars that you host. What gave you the idea to ensure that the globe was represented by the facilitators, and why was that important to you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I appreciate you mentioning the CX centric conversations. So for a few years ago, I set up CX Brussels, a not-for-profit in Belgium, where we were running events for customer experience professionals in Belgium, and we were offering workshops and training, etc. And then during the COVID, it became clear that these events were no longer possible. And because I've worked with a lot of consultants around the world delivering a lot of these transformation projects, I realized that it was a point to start bridging the gap. A lot of times, a lot of times people think, oh, my company, my country, sorry, is behind in terms of customer experience practices,
Mm,
etc. They think that okay, it's probably the UK or America or maybe Netherlands as well, who's sort of pushing ahead, and they think that the challenges that they're facing are not the challenges that other countries are facing. So that was the first thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to just really bridge the gap and really just compare, really. That's how it
yeah.
started out with. It's like a comparison, like what challenges are you guys currently facing in your role today as a customer experience professional or a customer experience leader? And that was the first thing. That's how it started. And it was quite interesting to see that actually we're all facing the same situation and challenges, yeah, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
There's obviously a few companies who I've met who are a bit more further down the line. They've had their customer experience departments open, say, for 6, 7 years now. They've got all their processes in place, but for the majority, we're still at the stage we're still sort of forming and norming, as they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been interesting, and obviously just the international field as well. Generally, just to get everyone connected, and it's very exciting to have 100 people from across the world, all different continents, all together. It's just exciting overall.
And it is something that I have. I like what you said there, and that is that some people come into that thinking that my country, my company, whatever it might be, is behind. And sure, there'll be a spectrum of companies that are way ahead in the CX world and way behind. But I think, and I've observed this in the webinars as well, the conversation, let's call them that, because that's what they are. They really are conversations rather than webinars. And it's less about a particular region being ahead or behind, but rather each individual brings a different perspective, a different experience, and they're able to add to the conversation. And I've learned from companies that might be perceived as, or companies and countries that might be perceived as being behind, as much as I've learned from companies and countries that are perceived as being ahead. And it's been particularly valuable. Now, I do feel somewhat sympathetic for those that are enjoying the time zones of the middle of the night. So far, I've lucked out when you've scheduled that it's only been early morning or early evening for me. But it has been a brilliant global conversation. You are a very global person, and that's one of the things that I think drew us to a connection, both in the CX space, but then in the travel space. And you're very connected to Rwanda, as I discovered when you and I were talking last time, and have made actually several trips there. I can tell you this, I don't get to talk Rwanda travel very often. Tell me about your experiences there.
Yeah, so my wife, she's originally from Rwanda. I mean, she did grow up in Belgium, but she's originally from there, so she's got family there, and we've been there several times now. And I stay for quite a while when I go there, so maybe it's like we stay for 5 weeks, 6 weeks at a time, normally in the summertime. And yeah, it's an amazing country. It really is. Um, I really advise if is thinking about Africa, they should definitely check out Rwanda. Some of the things, for instance, the temperature is pretty moderate in the sense that it's not boiling hot, it's not cold. It's sort of just stays at around 25 degrees. So it's just like
Oh,
the
very
nice
nice.
temperature. Rwanda actually, the word means land of a thousand hills. So wherever you are in Rwanda, for some reason, there's hills everywhere. So it's like if you take a picture in Rwanda, there's probably going to be some hills in the background. That's just the way it is. So
Yeah.
it's quite nice in terms of the way it looks and stuff. The culture is very nice. They're very open. They're very polite, very friendly. They do enjoy drinking. They've got really,
Now we're getting to the heart of it. Okay. You talk
yeah,
about pretty hills, but now.
yeah. No, I'll be honest. They love drinking. They have very nice food. The people have a distinct look about them as well. And also generally in terms of the economy, there's a lot of opportunity there. There's a lot of investment happening now as well. So from a business perspective, it's very interesting.
Yeah, you mentioned a phrase to me that I wanted to bring up here, and you referred to Rwanda as the Singapore of Africa. Tell me what you meant by that.
Yeah, I mean this phrase, yeah, it's well known right now because basically the president has done a very good job to to, to really push the country forward, and really just make it a place where the ease of doing business is very, how do I say, very high. It's
Okay.
very easy to do business there. And yeah, they have a very sort of forward looking perspective there. When you speak to the people there, they're very passionate about their country, and they have their plans. You know, their 20-year plans, their 40-year plans, etc. And you can see things are moving. You can see things are moving. So it's a very exciting place to be, even from a technology perspective as well. They're investing a lot in technology. They are educating their citizens as well. So even just from that standpoint, they are really placing themselves or positioning themselves in a place where they can really grow and advance in the next few years. So it's an interesting place to be.
Hey, let's keep the travel going here, but join me in the first class lounge. We'll move quickly here and hopefully have some fun. What is a dream travel location from your past?
It has to be Crete. So Crete is
Okay.
one of the Greek islands. I don't know if you've been there before, Rick.
No.
Crete, you've got to go there. So if I explain a bit about it, basically Crete is lovely. Firstly, because obviously it's a hot island, the weather's nice, the beaches are amazing, like just beautiful, and on top of this, probably the most important is the food. They've got loads of fresh vegetables, etc. So everything they cook is basically fresh bio sort of food. So yeah, it's just a lovely place to go. So I really recommend that.
Okay, very nice. So, thinking to the future, what is a dream travel location you've not been to yet?
I think I really want to go to Kenya. It's a place that I haven't been yet, but even from a technology perspective, they're doing a lot of interesting things. They've got a lot of good culture. They've got the safaris there as well. I've seen on Instagram quite a few good parties and stuff there.
All right.
So I need to get over there.
I like it. I like it. I have heard food woven throughout your discussion of both Rwanda and then Crete as well. Tell me, though, your favorite thing to eat.
Yeah, definitely. Probably I'm hungry as we record this podcast, Rick. But for me, my background, my family's from Jamaica originally, and yeah, Jamaican food is very good. I don't know if you've had it before, Rick, but
Oh, I've had many a Jamaican food item. Definitely love it.
yes. So definitely, I have to bring up jerk chicken
Oh
at this
yeah.
point. Like this is just part of the culture. Like in Jamaica, we do a lot of barbecues, and yeah, we season that chicken up We put it on the barbecue, and when that's finished, it's just delicious. Sorry for the vegan listeners, etc. But
we are a welcoming group here. We're welcoming the vegans. We are welcoming of the carnivores. We celebrate all at CX Passport, and jerk chicken is a spectacular meal. So I can see why that is your favorite thing to eat. On the flip side, what is a thing your parents forced you to eat but you hated as a kid?
yeah, probably just in general vegetables, like everyone else, to be honest. I mean, I do like carrots and broccoli, but things like cauliflower, no, I'm not really into it. So
Vegetables, certainly, if I were to keep a tally, I'm going to need to go back and do this in the episodes and collect. Vegetables definitely is winning this question, certain specific ones for sure. What is one travel item you will not leave home without?
to be honest, I try and travel lightly. I mean, even my mobile phone, sometimes I do like to leave that in the
Oh, wow.
hotel in where I'm staying. I don't like to walk around with it because I like to just be in the moment. Um, so to be honest, there's not really much that I need apart from just to have had a good night's sleep, so I'm ready with energy to face whatever is in front of me.
Advocates are vital to creating customer centricity. How have you seen organizations be successful in creating or empowering those advocates?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good question because often, in terms of customer experience and customer success, there's a lot of talk about the Net Promoter Score, NPS, and oh, should we do it or should we not? And for me, the answer is yes, we should do it, but it's just that we need to mobilize the advocates. So when a customer is labeled an advocate, we need to have processes in place so that actually we use these customers as almost as a resource. Yeah, I call that customer as a service. So for instance, you can do things like customer stories. So if you have a customer who has had a positive experience with your brand, then you can turn that into a case study. You can ask for testimonials. You can actually interview them and ask them how they can improve, how they think we should improve the experience. And this can go into your strategy. This can go into your roadmap. You can actually ask them to market to other prospective customers as well. This is another thing. They can share your information on social media very easy or through email, and this can help grow your business. So the other point is that actually the way I look at customers is a bit different, and it's the fact that today things are more complicated than they were sort of 50, 60 years ago.
Right.
Just life in general. The problems that we're facing are more complicated. So actually, the way I see the relationship between an organization and a customer is that actually there is a shared problem. Actually, you share a problem between yourself and the customer now, and actually you work together. It's not always you just delivering something for the customer and you're basically serving them. It's almost a case of you guys working together. So that's the other point to make, is that when you have advocates, they they can work better with you. They can help you improve your business as a whole. They can offer you suggestions as to even how you can do things better, how you can open new markets for your business. There's a wealth of benefits when working and really becoming more intentful on how you manage advocates.
Okay, that makes sense to me. The idea, and here's one thing that I gained from what you just said there. We've heard about advocates, right? You want customers promote, right? Heck, it's in the label NPS, right? You want customers promoting it. But what I like what you said is there needs to be this process. And in fact, there's a phrase that you said, customer as a service. So who knows, CAS may become the new acronym, and we'll see where that goes. But the idea of, and you've woven this through actually a couple of times where you've talked about there's a process to it. And clearly you're appealing to my nature there when we talk about combining customer and process for sure. But it doesn't just happen magically. There's a discipline to it. And I think there's another area that we talk about a lot, or I guess we'd say we're talking about more lately, and it's the same sort of intentionality, and it's around employee experience. So In general, I'd say to you, how important is employee experience today? But really, how does that manifest? How does employee experience get at the heart of customer experience?
Yeah, I think once again, we're living in a complex environment. The stuff that we have to do on a daily basis is complex, and we need employees who are passionate, who are motivated, who have the skills um, to handle and tackle these challenges on a daily basis. And I think what's happened now, especially because of COVID situation, we are now much in a hybrid or just a fully remote environment. We're witnessing the a lot of employees are not happy. They're finding it difficult. They're getting stressed. They they are some are actually leaving their jobs. For instance, there was a contact center employee. I spoke to him maybe 2 weeks ago, and I said, "Okay, we've got a nice contract for you." And he says, "Okay, what? How do they manage the employee experience?"
Oh,
That
just
is not
asked it
something.
right there.
Yeah,
Wow. All
he
right.
asked it. This is not something that would be asked sort of 2, 3 years ago.
No way.
But
Yeah.
and I said to him, okay, so why are you asking this? And he says, well, in the last place of work, my manager probably phoned me twice every sort of 2 or 3 months. And apart from that, I had no contact with my team. I was just, just dealing with customer issues, and that's it. So what we're seeing is that, of course, we had to just sort of get online, get business up and running, make sure things are working. But now we're at the stage where the employee experience really needs to be designed. Uh, we can't just leave it to chance. So I think it's really key right now to really look at that employee experience, look at the full journey, not just even people rolling into your team, even thinking of things like employee well-being, or how do you actually balance employee productivity with well-being as well. Things like this is really crucial. So I mean, we do have a course on employee experience, just to mention, but just to say, every organization now should really sit back and do some analysis, because let's face it, it's the employees that deliver that customer experience, and
Right.
they are the key to the business growth, to be honest. So if you don't sort that out, it presents a huge risk for your business.
Again, there's that theme of be disciplined about it. You have to actually. It's not something that easily comes about organically. There is work, there is focus, there's tactics, there's a vision associated with it, and companies that get that right. So again, I love how you're bringing that up, Jonathan. This has been great. I want to kind of close with one thought. Let's go back to the CX Centric conversation webinars, and I do want everybody to know, take a look at the show notes. I'll provide the links there for everyone to get more aware of these, so you can sign up for them. They're on about a monthly basis. They're great sources of information. And here I am talking about it, right? So I know that I'm learning so much from my guests on CX Passport. I know you're learning from your webinar guests as well. What's something that surprised you in one of the sessions?
Yeah, probably the biggest surprise was a few months ago. We ran a session, the on CX in media. So we had um, Alana from The Economist, and we also had Ali Lichtenstein from the Wall Street Journal, and we were discussing the challenges in the media space. And it's quite interesting, and I didn't realize this, in the subscription space. Every subscription business, especially on when we talk about B2C, is competing against each other. So for instance, the Economist is actually competing with Amazon,
Yeah.
um, Amazon Prime, or with Netflix, or with Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's not directly related, they are not news platforms, but it's just the way customers view it. Customers go and look, and they say, okay, how many subscriptions do I have? How much is it adding up to? And they basically, it's a case of wallet share. So that's one thing that I learned, and I thought that was quite interesting, because I didn't have that perspective before that conversation.
Yeah, that is so true. the idea of, and there's actually been an episode, oh my gosh, I should know these numbers just right off the bat, but Dan Bukowski talked about that same thing, that Netflix and a milkshake can be competitors to each other. So The Economist and Disney Plus can be competitors to each other. Jonathan, once again, a great delight being able to talk with you in a podcast that I thought that you and I would have topics that we already knew. I'm still learning from what you're sharing with me today. It's been great to talk about, the 8 CX Centric principles and that framework associated with that. I certainly, as I've said several times, appreciate the heck out of the global perspective of the CX Centric conversations. And I'm really excited that people now know that Rwanda is the Singapore of Africa, and a place that not only is delightful to travel to, but is an exceptional business growth opportunity. And closing out with employee experience, and then learning from your webinars with the Economist competing with Disney Plus. Man, it's been great. And so, Jonathan, I thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me here on CX Passport. I know our listeners will appreciate what they have learned from you. Listeners, go out there, check out the webinar, check it out in the show notes. Make sure you join Jonathan next time for those. But Jonathan, today, thank you very much. I have appreciated the heck out of it and really enjoyed talking with you.
Thanks for the opportunity, Rick. Love what you do.
Thanks for joining us this week on CX Passport. Make sure to visit our website, cxpassport.com, where you can hit subscribe so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, you can check out the rest of the EX for CX website. If you're looking to get real about customer experience, EX for CX is available to help you increase revenue by starting to listen to your customers and create great experiences for every customer every time. Thanks for listening to CX Passport, and be sure to tune in for our next episode. Until next time, I'm Rick Denton, and I believe the best meals are served outside and require a passport.